All right, what was your first impression of Bobby? Like, did you like him right away?
Yeah, he was a likable guy. You could see that. He treated everybody the same. He was very open. He wanted involvement by everybody, which it was not quite that way before. If you were at the bottom of the totem pole, you're going to get the worst schools, and how much input you're going to have was questionable, which I understood that. Okay, I understood my role. Believe me, as being the bottom guy. I was smart enough to know that.
Mm-hmm.
But with Bobby, he was very inclusive. He was a great family man. He wanted the scouts home every weekend, which was not the case in the NFL. You go out for a couple of weeks, and Bobby didn't believe in that. So that was a big change, and that was all positive on that part. His letting you all be involved, okay, having total input into the draft process. He made the decision, and we all knew that. But he listened to everybody, and I think that was important.
He was known for being kind of a free spirit, right? I mean, at least they wrote about it, him being a surfer and all that. What were some of the things that made him different beyond what you just said about, family being important and not going on these endless road trips and that sort of thing? What other things kind of made him eccentric or different?
Well, let's keep it to what made him a great general manager. Okay,
yeah.
I mean, he came in dressed in flip flops and things like that, and,
right?
Shorts, and there was no dress code with him. See, okay, but I mean, hey, it was just casual. That's all.
Sure.
So anyway, I go on a road scouting my first spring with him, and I come back from a school called Eastern Kentucky, and there's this player that's highly rated, and I don't like him.
Uh-huh.
And he says, "What do you think?" I said, "Bobby, I don't like this guy." But he's got these high grades. He said, "Forget the high grades. What do those people know?" Okay.
Right.
So independent thinking.
He trusted you.
He trusted it, but it was independent thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Forget about what everybody else says. What you see.
Right.
He wanted everybody to see the top players. Usually some of the lower scouts, I was the only lower scout, you didn't see the top players. Okay, you saw the bottom players. Mm-hmm. He wanted everybody to see the top players. Inclusivity, including with the coaches. Daring. He made a lot of daring trades. He traded a 1 for a future 2. He didn't care about that. He signed players. He didn't care what other people thought, okay? He took Darryl Green when Darryl Green was 5'8", 169 pounds. He never wavered on that. He loved it. He would have taken Darryl much higher in the draft if we had a higher pick.
Uh-huh.
Took Charles Mann out of Nevada Reno. And obviously he had a great career. So
how did you find him? Was he a combine guy, or is he just a film work guy you went out and saw, that kind of thing?
I don't remember how we got to. I didn't scout the West Coast, so I don't remember how we got on him.
Yeah.
But Bobby always believed in him. So, those were some of the things there. I thought he should have been in the Hall of Fame before he got in. I championed that cause. I never understood why he wasn't in the Ring of Honor with the Redskins. That was mind-boggling. And finally he got in after he got into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So, anyway.
And then talk about the hiring of Gibbs, because that changed kind of everybody's life, right?
Yeah, he Ernie Zampese, who was a great friend of Bobby's, was on the staff with the Chargers, and he really liked Joe Gibbs, and Bobby was very close to him. So, and I don't know if Joe ever had another head coaching interview before the Redskins won, but he was a champion of Joe Gibbs. Jack Kent Cooke didn't know Joe Gibbs, so Joe Gibbs had to go into that interview, and Bobby had to sell him, and most importantly, Joe had to sell him. Which he did. And then Joe had an excellent set of coaches he wanted to get. Jack Kent Cooke wanted to support him, told Bobby to, you go get those coaches and don't come back without them. And when Mr. Cooke said that, you didn't come back without him, believe me. But Bobby went and got him, which wasn't easy, okay? And he had the support of course, the Cookes. But, that was the beginning of an era right there, the hiring of Gibbs, the hiring of that staff.
And then remember, at that time, when Joe got off to that rough start, right, that 0-5 start, it's kind of legendary, the pressure was kind of mounting, right? What was it like inside that building? Did you think, hey, maybe we made a mistake here?
Well, I was way down the totem pole at that point, okay? Yeah. I'm just trying to go out and scout players.
Right.
So I wasn't that close to that part of it there on it. I saw the games. We were turning the ball over. What I saw was Joe change the offense. We come out there throwing it like Air Coryell all over the place, and that didn't fit us. Right. Joe evolved into the one-back offense to be able to block Lawrence Taylor, always have a tight end in his face. So it was an evolution. That's what I saw, which was great coaching by Gibbs. And then eventually, the team hit a stride, and we went 8-3 down the stretch.
Right.
So, but basically, I saw that as a scout with Gibbs evolving with the offense. And Bobby doing a great job getting the players.
Can you remind us how it ended here, and then he went to San Diego, right? Like, why did he just want to be closer to family? Like, where he grew up? I don't even quite understand what happened.
Well, that was one of the things that he said publicly. I think that, and I've said this already on the interviews I've done, that decision to go to San Diego goes to the grave with him. Okay. And that may not be the most politically correct thing to say, but that should be left to him and his family and that. But his family was certainly a part of it, though.
Okay. And then how long was he in San Diego? And was that his final destination? Like within how long was he there?
I don't remember. He retired there. He took him to a Super Bowl, which is the only Super Bowl I think he'd been to. And then he retired there, went into television for a while, was a consultant with the Falcons for a while. There was talk of him coming back here, but they never made the deal for him to come back. So I think he seemed to be willing when we talked about it, but he had some questions, but the deal never got done. So
he was 10 years in San Diego, from 90 to 2000.
Did you talk to him after he retired?
Oh yeah, many times. Many times. Yeah. Through the different years, talked to him when he was in San Diego, talked to him when he was in Atlanta, talked to him when he was considering the job here. Obviously talked to him, before the Hall of Fame. I was a champion for him. Ironically, when they had the selection meeting, somehow I got chosen to be a consultant. They always bring in one outside person, and it was really down between him and George Young. And I made the case based on facts, not based on loyalty or emotion, because I had great affection for George Young too.
Right.
But I thought he was ahead of George Young in his career, and he should get ahead of George. And fortunately, he did at that point. If he didn't, he would have got it the next year anyway. So
we're going to have to let you go in a second, but I'm just wondering, are there, maybe you've already said this and I've already forgotten, are there one or two things, though, that most influenced you from Bobby?
I think the openness to running the draft process, involving everybody, involving the coaches, having the scouts travel with the coaches. That's probably number one. Number two is the scouts going home every weekend to spend time with their family. I just think it was the openness and inclusivity that he brought that I believed in, and he sold me on it, and is not the case in a lot of organizations.
Did he have his own eye for talent, like that was special?
He had an excellent eye for talent. I've been asked if there was a certain position. No, I think he was good at all positions.
Gotcha.
But he had a conviction on it, and he didn't care what other people thought. And his draft board was going to be his own draft board. I mean, we were involved, but he made the decision. But if he felt that somebody should be taken in a certain round, he didn't care what other people thought.
Right. He's resolute.
I love that.
Charlie, sad day, somber day, but we're glad you took some time out to share your memories about Bobby Beathard with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, buddy.
Oh, it's supposed to be with you now.
Good talk.